Is India preparing to dump US engines for the Tejas Mark II fighter jet program amid Trump's tariff tantrums? India, the world's second largest arms importer, could end up choosing France as its jet engine supplier. Multiple media reports from the Economic Times to the Mint to Hindustan Times all are now reporting that the India-US agreement for the American GE F414 engines is in trouble. As per senior officials in New Delhi, India is weighing French-made engines for its fighter jets as talks over joint manufacturing with the US move at a sluggish pace, unquote. France's Safran has in fact made a fresh proposal even as India-US negotiations continue with Tejas Mark II first flight schedule for 2026 or next year. HAL has again insisted that the 80% tech transfer agreement is mandatory for any final deal to be signed. So have the negotiations hit a roadblock under Trump administration, or is this a pressure tactic by India's Modi government, one of the world's largest defense buyers, that America could lose this multi-billion-dollar defense contract? Let's get you the details. In a landmark development for India's defense aerospace ecosystem, French firm Safran has laid out a new proposal for India regarding the development of engines meant to power India's most advanced Tejas Mark II fighter jets. With development complete and first flight schedule for 2026, shockingly, the GE F414 engine deal has still not been signed, despite the initial agreement reached during Prime Minister Modi's state visit to the United States back in 2023. Sources revealed to the Indian Express that discussions could continue for another 3 months before any final agreement. Officials involved in the talks confirmed that GE Aerospace has agreed in principle to transfer 80% of the technology, but now India-US defense cooperation is facing new headwinds amid geopolitical uncertainties, and the momentum is slowing in negotiations. On the other hand, Safran's offer includes co-development and manufacture of engines, but since Tejas has not been designed around the Safran engine, this means that any new engine will have to be plug and play and still deliver the thrust needed for the jet's optimal performance. The GE F414 delivers 98 kilonewtons of thrust, and any Safran deal will have to match that. However, the talks with the Paris-based firm are still ongoing and in private. Remember, India and Safran have already agreed to co-manufacture a 120 kilonewton engine for India's AMCA, the stealth fighter program. India is considering the Safran engine as a viable option to speed up its indigenous fighter jet production rate and not rely on a sole foreign engine supplier. What works in India's favor is that Safran's proposal will include full transfer of intellectual property rights, enabling India to have greater autonomy in engine design, development, and production. This means that even if an India-US deal is reached for the 99 F414 engines, any delay from the American side in deliveries could see India switch over to the Safran engine without delay. This aligns with India's broader goal of achieving self-reliance in defense technology and reducing dependency on any one foreign supplier, especially at a time when US foreign policy is the most uncertain, with partners including India, South Korea, Japan, Canada, and Israel all left questioning White House's priorities under Trump. Remember, India picked the US-made GE F414 engines during the Modi-Biden summit in 2023 as New Delhi actively pursued diversifying its defense purchases away from Russia. However, Trump's anti-India rhetoric may force India to fall back on its traditional defense suppliers, Russia and France, once again. With the MiG-21 squadrons now officially retiring with a joint flypast with the Tejas, Indian Air Force squadron numbers have fallen to 29, the lowest since the 1965 war with Pakistan. The British-made Jaguar and the French-made Mirage 2000 jets will also be retiring soon. So India needs a reliable engine supplier for its Tejas Mark 1As and Tejas Mark 2s, and the US is showing it cannot be trusted under the current administration. India urgently wants to build up its own defense manufacturing capabilities after the short war with Pakistan, which involved not just fighter jets, but drones and missile strikes as well as artillery fire and small arms fire along the shared international border and the LOC in Kashmir earlier this year. However, Trump has shown he'd still rather stand with a failed terror state like Pakistan, which hid bin Laden, rather than the world's largest democracy, India. Moreover, skepticism persists within parts of the Indian establishment about the reliability of the US as a long-term defense partner, due to persistent delays already witnessed in the delivery of the GE F414 engines needed for the Tejas Mark 1A jets. So the parallel secret talks with Safran indicate that India is keeping all its options open. France, which has already supplied Rafale fighter jets to Indian Air Force and is seen as more flexible on technology sharing, may be well positioned to step in if the GE deal falters at the final hurdle. How many Tejas Mark IIs will the IAF induct? Now, India needs at least 120 Tejas Mark II fighters, though the numbers could go as high as 200. The Indian Air Force plans to induct a total of at least 320 Tejas aircraft in all variants, including 180 Tejas Mark 1As already on order and at least 120 Tejas Mark IIs. After the assembly completion in October 2025, India's Aeronautical Development Agency is planning the first flight of Hindustan Aeronautic Limited's Light Combat Aircraft Mark II in the beginning of 2026. Apart from manufacturing 4 pre-production prototypes between 2026 and 27, HAL is expected to roll out the aircraft for mass production by 2029, with an operational induction into the Indian Air Force anticipated around 2029-2030. But how's the Tejas Mark II different or an upgrade to the Tejas Mark 1As? A parliamentary panel report observed last year, Tejas Mark II will be a day and night capable all-weather multi-role combat aircraft with adequate self-defense capability to operate in dense and hostile AD environment, unquote. Tejas Mark II has greater takeoff weight of 17.2 tons compared to Tejas Mark 1A's 13.5 tons. This is largely due to its more powerful engine. It also has a larger combat radius of 1,000 kilometers compared to Mk1's 500 kilometer due to larger tanks. It has 11 hardpoints and can thus carry more diverse missions than the Mark I, which has 7 hardpoints, which means the Mark II can carry out longer and more diverse missions behind enemy lines. It is furnished with an advanced active electronically scanned array or ASA radar, a comprehensive electronic warfare suite, and an infrared search and track mechanism. It could also carry the famed Meteor missile, which entails an active radar target seeker, a two-way data link, and a solid-fueled ramjet motor, which enables the missile's maneuverability even at exceptional ranges. Boasting a strike range exceeding 100 kilometers, the Meteor missile can surely be called a top-notch weapon for any contemporary air warfare. This apart from Indian Rudram anti-radiation missiles and the Astra air-to-air missile series. With development complete, all the Tejas Mark II now awaits is an engine to power this beast. So should India dump the US for French Safran engines? Leave a comment with your opinion, hit the like button and subscribe to Inconnect News.